Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on the Bitcoin chart, because if you guys have been watching the market in the last couple of days, you will have probably noticed that Bitcoin was running up to right around $8,500, and then it retraced all the way down to around $7,200, and is now sitting around $7,500. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the technical analysis that surrounded that little uptick and the subsequent downtrend that is formed now. And we're also going to be covering the technical analysis that is going to be important in guiding Bitcoin in the next days and weeks, hopefully back above 9,000 and up above 10,000 so that we can actually set a higher high above 10,000, because lately these four main highs that we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, each time they get lower. We want a nice higher high so that we can actually set a bull run in motion. We're going to be talking about all of that and more in today's video. But if you enjoyed today's video, definitely think about dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and hitting that notification bell, because YouTube has been rather bad about notifying my viewers of videos lately. So let's get right into the technical analysis. Let's zoom in here to the day chart, and first I want to go over the last couple of days, what's really been going on in Bitcoin, to catch you guys up if you haven't been paying attention for a little while. Maybe you're disenfranchised with the Bitcoin market. I wouldn't really blame you right now, to be totally honest. A little while ago, we saw a little bit of a consolidation pattern, a bull flag forming here in Bitcoin, and we got a nice little bullish confirmation. We broke bullish out of it, and unfortunately, we topped out around $10,000. Following that, we were traced all the way down here to right around $8,000, where we got support on a very important long-term uptrend. I even made a video about how we must not break below this long-term uptrend. As you can see, I made that video a couple days ago. Bitcoin must not break this support. I'll be defining that for you guys in just a little bit if you guys aren't familiar with that uptrend. But what we saw was we saw support at that uptrend, and we actually set another little tiny uptrend in motion that I was hoping would carry us back up into a little miniature bull run, hopefully back up to $10,000. Unfortunately, we broke bearish out of it, and we broke below this all-important support line, this all-important support uptrend. And unfortunately, now we're retracing all the way down to right around $7,200, where we've set a little temporary double bottom. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there's a little tiny double bottom forming right here. Now let's talk about Bitcoin in a little bit more of a wider scope. Now, Bitcoin has retraced all the way down to around $7,200. First, let's try and find a technical reason for why it retraced to that number instead of a big even like 7,000. So to do that, we're going to use Fibonacci retracement. If you guys aren't familiar with Fibonacci retracement, basically it's a level where you drag the Fibonacci level from the top of a run to the bottom of a run, and then you look at these levels, and then those are levels of support and resistance in the market. They're well, not very complicated, but there are mathematical reasons for where these numbers come from in the Fibonacci sequence. But the point of this is to show you guys where some important levels of support and resistance are. And as we can see, if we were to draw the Fibonacci levels the way that you would, with the bottom right here around $6,500, which is where this originally started from, this little bull run originally started from, all the way up to $10,000, then we see that there is a level here at the 23.6% retracement level, right around $7,300, and as you can see, that's where we bottomed out. So right now, we're getting a little bit of support on that Fibonacci level. Hopefully that will maintain, but I'm not totally convinced that it's going to. If we break that, which I'm honestly kind of expecting to happen, if we break that, the next real level of support that we're going to be looking for is $7,000 flat. Now, $7,000 is a big even. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and, well, markets in general like to trade around big even numbers because it's a psychological barrier. You got to realize a lot of people in the cryptocurrency market, a lot of the volume in the cryptocurrency markets are still humans. Bot traders don't care too much about these big even numbers, but since Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets are still largely dominated by humans, these are important levels, which is why we saw Bitcoin top out at a big even like 20,000 and 10,000 just here and like 12,000 up here. Those are big even numbers, so watch out for those when you guys are doing technical analysis. Like I was saying, the next really important level of support is going to be right here around $7,000. Now, $7,000 is the next big even below us, but it also represents the valuation of an uptrend that we can see that forms back here when we crashed all the way down to $6,000. We can see the pivot point right here for this uptrend. We can see the set point back here when we initially broke below this uptrend. And then we can see that uptrend brings us all the way over here to right around $7,000. So if Bitcoin does break below that Fibonacci level, the next level of support that I'm looking for is right around $7,000. I'm most expecting that to happen. I'm not totally convinced that we're going to hold that level at the Fibonacci level. I'm most certainly hoping that we will, but I'm not quite convinced yet. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, and I want to show you guys some things on the 4-hour chart. First thing that I want to show you is that Bitcoin is quite overextended on the RSI. It dropped all the way down here to around 20, like 17, 18, 19 on the RSI. That's one of the lowest 4-hour RSI valuations for Bitcoin in Bitcoin's well, not necessarily in its history, but it has been in quite a while. Bitcoin hasn't dipped quite that low. It's normally stayed above 20, as we can see here. This is above 20, this is above 20. Back over here, these were just barely touching 20. We dipped around 17 or 18, depending on your exchange, on the Bitcoin RSI. And that was a very important sell signal. So I'm not totally convinced, and because of RSI, I'm not totally sure that we'll drop all the way down to 7,000. But because of the day RSI, I am kind of expecting that, because as we can see on the day RSI, it hasn't become oversold just yet. RSI is sitting around 35.40 right here. If we can get our cursor in there, it's sitting right around 35.36 on the RSI. If we were to retrace down to the $7,000 level, that would be a nice touch on 30 on the RSI, which would be pretty nice. It would be a pretty nice way for Bitcoin to set a bottom. Bitcoin likes setting bottoms when it bottoms out on RSI. That's just been a trend over the last several years, really. That's a pretty important thing. So I also want to show you another couple things here on the long-term trend, or on the day chart. The first thing I want to talk about is the potential of setting an inverse head and shoulders pattern. I haven't seen anyone else really talk about this. I talked about this in another video, but I'm just going to mention it really quickly here. What it looks like we're forming to me is an inverse head and shoulders pattern, with the first shoulder there, a head here, and another shoulder here, potentially leading us into a bull market. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with that inverse head and shoulders, a head and shoulders pattern is a top out pattern for a bull market. An inverse head and shoulders pattern is an upside down head and shoulders. If we were to draw a normal head and shoulders, it would look like that, with this being the shoulder, that being the shoulder, that being the head. You guys are going to make some funny jokes in the comments about that picture, I'm totally sure. But this is not technically a head and shoulders pattern, because this shoulder is lower than the head, but it certainly does look like one, and I think there will be some trading volume based on this head and shoulders pattern. So if we do see a bottom here in the next couple of days and we start to see a little bit of a bull run, expect that to be important. Now, if we start that little bull run over here with the bottom out being this shoulder, an important level of resistance that we're going to be wanting to look at will, of course, be this downtrend that I've drawn here, with a couple of tops over here right around 12,000. Now, this is a double top, so this is a rather general trend line, but if you draw this trend line out and touch 10,000 right here, where Bitcoin topped out recently, then you also have a little bit of a downtrend that crosses this long-term uptrend in late June, or in mid-June, or no, in late June. It would be nice to get above that trend line. It's never a good thing for Bitcoin to be below a downtrend of resistance. That is not a good thing. But one thing that I'm also looking for is a kind of a midterm triangle pattern. Now, triangle patterns are very important. Triangle patterns are very powerful. If we come here to the Ethereum chart, then we can see an important example of a triangle pattern. If we scroll back here, then we see a flat top triangle pattern where you have an ascending trend line and a flat top. That's a triangle pattern, and Ethereum went up and broke out of that, increasing in valuation by about 2.5 times in the span of a little over a month and a half. So these are very important, very powerful technical indicators. So we do have one forming here on Bitcoin, and if we were able to break bullish out of this, it would definitely give us some support. It would definitely give us some exuberance in the minds of many traders moving into the future. Hopefully that does happen. Hopefully we do break bullish out of that. Now, I said I would define this long-term uptrend, so let's go ahead and do that right now. And this is why this is such a bad thing that we broke below this. We did back here a little bit. We managed to get back above it. I'm hoping the same thing happens pretty soon. A short little break below this uptrend isn't the death of Bitcoin or anything. It's just not good for the market at all. So let's define this. We have the pivot point back here on 1800. When Bitcoin bottomed out to around 1800, we have the set point back here. We have the pivot point back here. We have the set point right here for the uptrend. And then we have a touch here on 6,000. We have some touches here around this $6,500 level when we broke below it. And now we're quite obviously below it. So that is certainly not a good thing. So let's see. I've talked about RSI. I've talked about... Yes, okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is something that I actually noticed on a CoinDesk article. So I'm going to give credit here, of course. Bitcoin faces close below long-term support in first since 2015 by Omkar Godbol. I'm hoping I'm not butchering his name. I probably am. I'm not very good with foreign names. But he shows this chart right here with a 50-day week, or a 50-week moving average, and a potential of Bitcoin dropping below that. So let's look at that on the chart. If we come out here to the chart, we click where it says day, and we go out to week. I have a 50 period moving average, and we're on the week chart, obviously. If we go here to the log chart, we'll be able to see this a little easier. This doesn't actually affect the it doesn't change anything. It just changes the way that we're looking at this. So as we can see, this line right here, I'm not going to say what color that is because I'm colorblind. I'm probably going to get it wrong. Oops. So this line right here represents, this moving average rather, represents the 50-week moving average. Each one of the points on this line represents the average of the last 50 weeks of price action on Bitcoin. So as we can see, this has been not really an important level of support because we haven't had to get support on it in quite a long time. But we've stayed above this level of support since late 2015. We broke above it initially in around mid-October of 2015, and we've been above it ever since. And as we can see, we actually got a little bit of support on it back here. I didn't even notice this at the time, but we most certainly did get a little bit of support on it back here around 6,500, 6,600 when we were initially breaking that long-term uptrend. And all these trend lines are messed up because this is the log scale. Ignore those. But we initially got support on it. Hopefully we get support on it here when we either correct at the $7,200 level that I was talking about, or we bottom out at 7,000 like I'm thinking is probably going to happen, and we see that as a bottom. If we don't, and we do break this 50-week moving average, that's just another nail in the coffin for Bitcoin. That's another thing that's kind of pointing towards a prolonged bear market on Bitcoin. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the long term. I think we are undervalued currently, but that doesn't mean that the market can't go lower, and I am prepared for Bitcoin to correct all the way down to 6,000 again, potentially 5,000. I don't see Bitcoin going below 5,000, but going to 5,000 is a possibility. I don't want you guys to rule that out because it is very possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is very possible. So don't be surprised if that happens. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be talking about what Bitcoin is going to do for the rest of 2018. I'm going to be talking more about where I think Bitcoin is going to be going in the rest of 2018 in tomorrow's video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified. That will be going up at 11 a.m. sharp tomorrow Eastern time. So make sure you guys watch out for that. And part of the reason I'm making that video is because of a question that someone asked in our Discord server, asking me if I thought Bitcoin was going to go to 15,000 by the end of the year. Let me go ahead and give him credit. That was, let's see who asked that. That was Crypt. Hey Crypt, he's been in the Discord server for quite a long time. If you guys want to join the Discord server, feel free to do so. The link to do so is in the description and in a pinned comment down below. If you guys want to support the channel, signing up for Hashflare or for Binance is an indirect way that you can without giving any of your money directly to me. But if you use their services, I do get a commission, and it does help me actually turn this YouTube channel from a hobby into a job so that I can continue bringing you guys much better, much higher quality content. So if you guys want to support me and you guys want to get access to some awesome services, sign up for those in the description down below. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I post all kinds of ramblings and all kinds of inspirational quotes and messages that I just made up on the spot because I needed something to post. So feel free to follow me there if you're interested at all. And I will thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.